Hello everyone, my name is Adiraj Sood and our group, which has Aishwarya, Dhruv, Ria and I are going to present our research about an open source NoSQL database known as Apache Cassandra. In this presentation, we are going to discuss features of Cassandra like data storage and modeling, indexing, query processing, and in the end, we'll discuss the application which we have built based on Cassandra. Apache Cassandra is a free and open source distributed NoSQL database which is designed to handle large amounts of data across many commodity servers, providing high availability with no single point of failure. This database was designed at Facebook to implement a combination of distributed designs of Amazon's Dynamo, which had features like partitioning and replication, combined with data model of Google's Bigtable, which had features like mean table and SS table. Cassandra has a peer-to-peer architecture instead of master-slave architecture. That means that all the nodes are connected to all other and every node can serve client requests. That means any node in a cluster can accept read or write. And once that request is done, the internode communication happens through a gossip protocol, which allows all nodes to quickly receive all updates. Cassandra is a column-oriented database that stored the data tables by column rather than by a row. This is different than RDBMS, as in Cassandra, column represents a unit of storage, whereas in RDBMS, column represents an attribute. Cassandra is a distributed database in which data is stored across different nodes. It was built to handle huge amounts of data, which is scalable, which means new nodes can be added without any downtime. As it runs on multiple nodes, which makes it fault tolerant as there is no single point of failure. That means if a certain node fails, another node can fulfill the query result. It provides continuous availability, unlike traditional RDBMS, where if the master node is shut, it cannot process new writes until we have a new master or that master is back up. Cassandra doesn't compromise any performance, which means it has efficient reads and writes. Cassandra is trusted by many companies like Netflix, Facebook, eBay, Twitter, and Discord. Discord chose Cassandra as it fulfilled all the requirements, as they can scale at any time and can tolerate a loss of a node without any impact on the application. Now let's dig deep about how data is stored in Cassandra. Data in Cassandra is stored in a column-oriented manner. Cassandra has a node of clusters and each node is capable of serving any request from the user. When any data is written to Cassandra, it will be first written to a commit log before being written to a main table. This provides a reliable solution in case of any unexpected shutdown. As in any case, a shutdown happens, we can recover from the commit log. Once the data is stored in mean table and it reaches a threshold, then that data is flushed into sorted strings table, also known as SS tables. The SS tables are immutable data files that consist of multiple components in separate files like data.db, which contains the actual data, and index.db, which has an index from partition keys to position in data.db. Sandra is a query-driven model, which means that tables are designed based on the queries. This is different from RDBMS, as in RDBMS, we first store the data and then we write the queries. Cassandra also supports indexing for fast and efficient lookup of a given query. Although its built-in indexes are best on a table that has many rows that contains an indexed value, it also supports secondary indexes, which we can create using SQL known as Cassandra Query Language, which is very similar to SQL. Now I will invite Ria to continue with the presentation.
Thanks, Adiraj. Let us now talk about the key components of Cassandra. Cassandra consists of the following key components. Key space. Key space are at the highest level of a Cassandra database system. This is similar to a database in RDBMS. Table. Table are called column families and contain a set of columns with a primary key and they store data in a set of rows. Columns constitute of a column key and a column value. Column key uniquely identifies a column value in a row, and the column value stores one value or a collection of values. A cluster contains one or more nodes that store data. One key difference is that Cassandra does not follow a fixed schema like RDBMS. Query processing. We can create a key space by using create key space name. Create key space has two properties, replication strategy and replication factor. Replication strategy can be of two types, simple strategy, which specifies a simple replication factor for the cluster, and network topology strategy, where the replication factor can be set for each data center independently. Similarly, a key space can be altered by using the command alter key space name, and we can also use drop to drop a key space. A table can be created using create table, as shown in the example. There are various data types for columns like big end, blob, boolean, counter, decimal, double, etc. Cassandra also supports collection data types such as sets, lists, maps, tuples, and nested collections. Batch statements can also be very useful for batch execution. In this example, we begin by the statement begin, batch, and perform the following operations. Insert a new row, update the student name, and delete city from student where student ID is equal to 2. Cassandra also does not support joins like RDBMS and adheres to independent table relations. There are several optimization techniques Cassandra uses. Compression, which is defined and configured on a per table basis as an optional argument to create table or alter table. The default compressor is the LZ4 compressor. Caching is another technique to optimize a table. This query in the example sets the caching property that configures the partition key cache and the row cache. Secondary indexes help in quick lookup of data and can help in further optimization. Cassandra also supports transaction management. Unlike RDBMS, Cassandra does not support ACID properties. It is based on the base properties. B, which stands for basic availability. This guarantees that every request receives a response about whether it was successful or not. Soft state is the state of the system that could change over time. Eventual consistency is where Cassandra can be tuned to a consistency level. Tunable consistency is a unique feature of Cassandra that allows clients to specify a consistency level. The consistency level refers to the number of replicas that need to respond for a read or write operation to be considered complete. Lightweight transactions usually introduce high latency, but they also ensure linearity in transactions. Cassandra also supports a variety of security features. Firewall integration is supported by Cassandra that enables a two-way secure communication between nodes. AES 128 algorithm for SSL encryption provides a more robust and secure channel for applications. And Cassandra also provides role-based authentication and authorization that allows access to different types of users. Now, I'll be handing over to Dhruv to continue with the application overview.
Thanks, Ria. So let's understand our application and what we did in the application. So the main purpose of the application is to demonstrate features of Cassandra. To do so, we analyze the killer weather dataset provided by the Cassandra Dataset Manager. The dataset contains information about weather like temperature, precipitation, and pressure, which is based on weather stations as well as time, that is month and years. Now we aim at providing three main functionalities in our application. First, we would be writing a query to get the maximum temperature, dew point, pressure, and wind speed based on the year given by the user. In next implementation, we will be giving the result of temperature for each day of the month, year, and weather station entered by the user. Finally, in the third implementation, we will be asking the user for entering year and weather station details to get uh, average pressure for all the months which they gave input for. We will be also generating a chart, a time series chart for the third implementation to analyze the pattern of pressure across the months. Now, let's let's jump on to the next topic, which is why we use Cassandra for this application. Why not some another DB like RDBMS, any kind of RDBMS? So to analyze this, we analyze the data set killer weather. Now, this data set is a streaming data, and generally the streaming data has high velocity and volume. RDBMS generally fails to handle such a voluminous and velocity oriented data. So here comes Cassandra. Cassandra can easily handle such kind of a data. Not only that, but Cassandra is an ideal fit for such applications because of its reading and writing capabilities. For reading, it has a fast and efficient access pattern due to less number of disk seeks. For writing also, the data is written to the disk sequentially after sorting is done, which gives it efficient writing speed. Now, our application aims to provide two main features which Cassandra has to offer. The first one being fault tolerance. So in fault tolerance, the fault tolerance makes sure that even if one of the node fails, the application persists to run and doesn't cause any impediments to the server side. We can achieve this by performing replication. What we do is we basically replicated the data among all the nodes. In our case, we created a cluster of 3 nodes, so we replicated the data among all these nodes, and we made sure that unless all the nodes fail, the application still runs without impacting the user in any way. This is one of the very important feature of Cassandra, which we demonstrated in our application. The next feature is distributed processing. So we leverage this by making the cluster of 3 nodes, and we did load balancing by segregating the data among all these nodes. So let's say in our application for the third implementation where we have to find the average pressure, we distributed the data amongst all these nodes, and with the help of load balancing, each of our nodes performed the query for only some of the rows and then aggregated the data, and we finally aggregate the data in our main node and display the result. However, if we consider most of the RDBMS systems, they guarantee the so-called ACID properties. Most of these properties boil down to consistency. That is, every modification on the data will transfer your database from one consistent state to another. Let's take an example. If you update multiple records in a single transaction, the database will ensure that the records involved will not be modified by other queries. So during the transaction, multiple tables may be locked for modification. If those tables are spread across multiple shards or servers, it will take more time to acquire the appropriate locks, update the data, and then release the logs. As we also studied in the course, we see that in NoSQL databases, it's not the case, and we can definitely use multiple shards to partition the data. Also in RDBMS, the CAP theorem states that a distributed, that is a scalable system, cannot guarantee all the properties at the same times. all the properties as in the consistency, availability, and partition tolerance. We can guarantee only two of these at the same time. RDBMS systems guarantee consistency, but sharding makes the system tolerant to partitioning. From the theorem follows that the system can not guarantee availability. This is the reason standard RDBMS cannot scale very well. It won't be able to guarantee availability. So we learn from here that unlike RDBMS, in our Cassandra, that is this NoSQL database, we can very well use replication as well as distributed processing. And we can see the example. Now let's see how we configured the cluster of these three nodes. Let me show you the demo. So we used a Docker over here and created a container which will have all the required setup for our environment. And as you can see, we have created various nodes, like three nodes here, which will be communicating with each other and making this a distributed processing. To start this, let's go to the project and start the Docker. So by writing this command, I'm starting all the nodes in the server. And as you can see, all the nodes have started and they have started communicating with each other. So this will take some time, and finally, after all the processing, it looks something like this. And our environment is set up to now run our application. So let's see how our application looks and what we have implemented so far in the application. And I would like Aishwarya to speak about it.
Thanks, Dhruv. So here we can see is a design of our application. Our application is based on the Django framework. For the front end of the application, we use HTML and Ajax. For the back end, we have the Django framework. To communicate with the Cassandra database, we have an abstraction layer, which is the Django Cassandra engine. So the workflow of the application is we have 4 endpoints. The first endpoint, it basically showcases all the queries and takes input from the user. Once we get the input from the user and the user clicks the input button, the front end will call the Django views with the parameters of the query. The Django backend, once it gets the parameters for the query, it would send that query to the Django Cassandra engine, which communicates with our Cassandra database, which has the killer weather data set on it. And the database would then return the results to our Django Cassandra engine. The results from that is then returned to our Django backend. Django backend kind of formats the results and sends it to our front end, and the query results are then displayed to the user. Each each query has its own form, and the submit button corresponds to different endpoints for each query results. So I'll just give a demo of the application now. Through this application, we demonstrate a few features of Cassandra. So one is distributed database. Cassandra, so we have distributed this data on several nodes, and we are fetching the results of the query from these nodes. That is the result is aggregated from all these nodes, and then transferred from Cassandra database to the Django Cassandra engine. So this is something that is not possible with RDBMS. Since in RDBMS, we cannot distribute the data set over different nodes and have it aggregate the results and give it to us. So this kind of speeds up the query processing. The second feature is since killer weather dataset is a streaming data, that means it has high velocity. So Cassandra works well with high velocity data. Again, this is something that is not possible with RDBMS. That means RDBMS won't perform well with high velocity data. And the third point is fast reads. As I mentioned, there are several nodes and we are reading data from different nodes. This kind of speeds up the read efficiency for Cassandra. And so in this case, Cassandra is better than RDBMS. So this is the homepage of our application, wherein we are showcasing all our queries. We are taking the inputs from the user, and the user can hit the submit button once the input has been given. So our first query is maximum air temperature, dew point, pressure, and wind details for the year selected by the user. So I'll just input a year. When I hit the submit button, it calls the query one results endpoint with the parameter year equals 2013. And Cassandra has basically returned these results, which we are showcasing here. The second query is air temperature for each day for a given month, year, and weather station selected by the user. So I'll just give this. So this displays the temperature reported by this weather station in August 2013. And you can see 31 days of August here with their temperatures. The last query is average pressure per month for the given year and weather station. So I could give 2012. These are the average pressures reported for that month and the month for that year, sorry. And a graph was also generated for this query, which can be seen here. So this graph basically has a month on the x-axis and pressure on the y-axis. And we can probably analyze some data through this, like the month November had the highest pressure point, and June had the least pressure point. So yeah, these kind of analysis can be done with the Cassandra data. Now I'll hand it over to Dhruv to speak about the differences of Cassandra and RDBMS.
Thank you, Aishwarya. So now let's discuss the comparison between RDBMS and Cassandra. As we saw in the application, Cassandra can handle structured as well as unstructured data as well. However, RDBMS can only handle structured data. Also, RDBMS uses joins, whereas Cassandra does not require joins since the tables and relations are independent. Also, RDBMS does not support distributed data modeling, whereas we see in our Cassandra application that we could leverage distributed data modeling. We can also see that RDBMS cannot handle high volume and high velocity data, but we know that Cassandra can handle bulky data easily. Also, there is a one good thing about RDBMS that it adheres to ACID properties. That is, it follows atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Whereas Cassandra does not adhere to ACID properties. Rather, it follows the base properties. RDBMS does not support real-time performance, whereas Cassandra facilitates improved real-time performance. Finally, Cassandra supports a flexible schema, whereas RDBMS only supports a fixed schema. So these are the main differences between RDBMS and this NoSQL, which is Cassandra, which makes it very useful for real-world applications. Now, to conclude with, we can see that in the applications where the data is a streaming data, or where we need to ensure fault tolerance and ensure the application works continuously without any hindrance, we can use Cassandra in such scenarios. So I'll end the presentation here. Thanks for listening. And if you have any questions, we would love to answer your questions on discussion forum on our My Courses. So yeah, thank you.